are continuing the NFL playoff bracket for Mr. Bradley.
That's right.
Obviously, let's jump right into it. I'm your boy T-Ball.
And I'm Mr. Bradley. This is my playoff predictions for the NFL playoffs coming up all the way from wild card to the Super Bowl. And I'm going to start it off on the left side, just like T-Ball did. If you'll
AFC.
check up that left side with number 6 and number 3 Steelers. I also have the Steelers going on, and the only thing I'm going to say about it is the Steelers have beat them already so many times. They got lucky with that last one, so without any starters playing. I love the Steelers there in primetime games, especially in the playoffs with that defense. Moving on. I'm going to go down to the Baltimore and Titans game. The number 5 Baltimore
I'm interested to see who you picked in this one.
Ravens taking on the number 4 Titans. I do believe the Titans will get this one done. I understand the Ravens are playing phenomenal lately, but I have this feeling in the playoffs, just like last year, the Titans do pretty well in the playoffs, way better than they do in the regular season. So,
yeah.
With that being said, let me go on to the Colts and Bills, number 7, number 2. I hate that this game is first. This is one of the most phenomenal games, probably game of the whole week.
Yeah.
I had a tough time deciding, but after all that, I just feel like the better defense wins here, and it's going to be the Colts. I think that defense is better than the Bills. A lot of their games they haven't played are just, not against quality teams for the Bills, and I love the Colts to move on. So if you're looking at that would be the Steelers playing the Titans, and that would be the Chiefs, the number 1 overall seed in that AFC, playing the number 7 Colts. The only difference I got from you is you picked the Ravens, I picked the Titans on this first one.
That's right. Okay, so your divisional matchup looks, again, like what? Chiefs versus Colts?
Yep, 1 and 7, and then Titans and Steelers in this division round, and I have the Steelers moving on once again. I just think that defense is just phenomenal, and I think it will be in the playoffs, especially with Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just a phenomenal coach.
He's been there time and time again.
Oh, yeah, he knows what to expect, and I just think if they're playing at home, because they'll be the number 3 versus 4, it's going to be tough for the Titans, even with Derrick Henry and his phenomenal season. But moving on, Chiefs and Colts, obviously Chiefs will have that home game. It probably will be cold. It'll probably be snowing or raining because it's in Missouri, Kansas City.
If it's not raining or snowing, just wait 5 minutes to probably get warm.
Yeah, there you go. Or freezing cold again. I don't know. We don't know. But I know about this game. It's going to be the Chiefs. I know they've had a couple weeks off, but what I've heard in the background is Patrick Mahomes creating his own plays in this time off for the last 2 weeks. And I think that just adds another dimension to this team, and they move on to the conference championship against the number 3 Steelers. So I got 1 and 3. You got 1 and 2. Conference championship.
So you have AFC championship sitting at Chiefs versus Steelers.
Yes, I do. Number 3 and number 1. So moving on is obviously the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. I just think there's no way the Steelers would keep up in a AFC championship, throw for throw, run for run, and pass for, you name it, with P. Holmes and Big Ben.
What's the score to this AFC championship?
I think the Chiefs, as long as they get out and ahead and stay the way, I just don't think the defense can stop them. This is the one game I wish we would have seen in the regular season, but we didn't get to see it. So I'm going to say Chiefs run amok up here, and they go out 38-24 Chiefs in this AFC championship.
Okay, that's not too bad.
So that puts the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, just like you.
Nice.
Except for you had Bills where my Steelers are. Moving on to the NFC side. Obviously starting with that number 6 L.A. Rams. T-Ball picked the Rams. And going to Seattle in that 12th man. Who knows how many 12 men will be let in the field? We don't know. But I got Seattle moving on. I just think whether it's Wolford or Goff, neither one of them could beat them on the road earlier this year. So Seattle moves on. I think that offense is fucking rolling. Number 7. Yes, I'm going to go number 7 Bears. Number 2 Saints. I just think the Saints are so much better than them. They've already beat them once, and it would be absolutely lucky and I know Drew Brees is looking pretty not as sharp as he has been, but I just don't think he loses in the playoffs to the Bears. Moving on, number 5 in Bucks at the number 4 Washington football team or club, depending on who says it when you hear it on the radio or on TV. I just think there's no way that Washington can win this game. I know they got I think there's a great defensive front, but it's just not enough to keep pace with Alex Smith and Tom Brady and all of his weapons. So I got the Bucks moving on. That means the Bucks would play the Packers in the division, 1 and 5, and then you got the Seattle Seahawks playing and going to the Saints.
That was going to be a good one if that does happen. That'd be a really good game.
Yes. every time they play is a pretty good matchup. So starting with them, Seattle and the Saints, I think Seattle actually upsets the Saints.
Really?
Because I think Drew Brees isn't going to be able to keep pace with that offense with DK Metcalf,
Okay.
Tyler Lockett, both had 1,000 yards.
Wow.
So I think it's a huge upset, and because they didn't get there last year, they got beat in the divisional round by the Green Bay Packers, the Seattle Seahawks, and moving down to the Packers. Speaking of them, and I think it would just be too much. And the Packers have got so much rolling right now. They're playing just great
They're hot.
football. I think they could keep toe to toe, and this would be a phenomenal game to watch. But I got the
Packers
Packers.
are rolling just as hard as the Bucks are, so that's a tough call there, bub. So you have the Packers moving on to the NFC Championship to take on Seattle, correct?
Yes, I do, and this is, like I said, a rematch of last year's divisional round, which I believe was in Seattle,
I believe it was too. Yes, it was.
if I'm remembering correctly. But this one's going to be in Green Bay regardless, and I don't think Russell Wilson's going to have enough in the tank to keep up. He's going to be cold and freezing, and that defense is going to get after him. We all know what happens when they do. He makes mistakes, they lose. Green Bay, there's no way he doesn't throw all over and pick apart that defense, and they move on to this face the Kansas City reigning Super Bowl champs.
So you
Back-to-back
also have
trips.
the Chiefs taking on the Packers.
I
in the
do,
Super
and so
Bowl.
does a lot of people on ESPN and FS1, you name it. So
What is
I'm
your
glad.
score to the NFC Championship game versus Packers and
Oh,
Seattle?
it's going to be a fucking shootout here because they usually are, or it's the lowest. I mean, you get a few of those games, a low scoring game, but I just don't think either defense is going to hold either one of these amazing quarterbacks. So give me a 42-41 Green Bay win.
42-41. Damn.
I mean, they're going to be lighting it up out there. This is the NFC Championship. Everybody's watching. So Packers and Chiefs, Super Bowl. And I actually have the Packers winning this one.
wow.
Because this is Aaron Rodgers' last chance he'll ever get, I believe, again, to make a Super Bowl run, unless next year they go and get a bunch of defense and they get another wide receiver or weapon for him. I know they had a lot of critics saying he didn't need it. Look what he's doing. I still think that's what they need. And if they don't do that next year, there's a lot of guys, with contracts up and stuff like that. So I
That's
just think the
interesting.
Packers, this is a win or lose season, and this is their best chance going through Green Bay. All you got to do is win 2 games, guys.
It's going to be tough thing to do if the Packers do beat the Chiefs. Chiefs going to have a tough time with the Packers.
It'll be a great game. Let me get my Super Bowl prediction score.
Yeah, let's. What do you got for that
I
Super
think
Bowl
this would
score?
be a phenomenal game, too. If you guys remember just 2 years ago, Green Bay did play the Chiefs, but it was backup Chase Daniel in there, and it was still a phenomenal game with basically these same players on both squads, just a few different guys, and it was a pretty high-scored game. But I would say the Super Bowl is going to be one of the best Super Bowls you've ever seen. 28-24 Green Bay.
28-24.
I think there's a few mistakes
Bay.
that happen in this one, like interceptions and things by both sides, and you'll just see phenomenal play from both sides, defensively and offensively, and it's
It'll
a
be
close,
very exciting.
but big time game, and I think the Packers skate out with a lucky one, unless P. Holmes just says, "Here, you can have this one, Rodgers." But that's all I got.
Well, you guys heard it. We both got the Packers and the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. I got the Chiefs. He's got the Packers. That is our playoff predictions for your playoff bracket. Stay tuned for those wild card picks and why we chose those teams to
Yes.
move on. That might explain a lot in this next video. So, guys, stay tuned. Make sure you're liking and subscribing this one. Move to the next one. Of course, again, Heat Waves Podcast. This is your NFL playoff bracket from T-Ball.
And don't forget, if you didn't tune into his and you just caught mine, go back and watch T-Balls. And I'm Mr. Bradley.
And as always, thanks for stopping by.